What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I will be discussing some huge Star Wars video game news, but I do want to preference this is a rumor, so this is not confirmed, so take it with a grain of salt, but we will discuss it. Let's get into it. So we have a huge rumor that was picked up by BespinBulletin, and it was a report from DualShockers that Creative Assembly, the creators behind Total War Rome, Total War Shogun, Total War Warhammer, and Halo Wars, are creating a brand new strategy game set within the Star Wars universe. There's also a report that the title of this game is actually just going to be straight up Total War Star Wars. So that I take with a grain of salt, but this is really exciting news as someone who is a massive fan of strategy games, whether it's turn-based, whether it's real-time. This is some great news, and if you played all of the other Creative Assembly games, like I just mentioned, stuff like Total War Rome and Total War Shogun, these are real-time strategy games where you move around the map, you set your armies up, you build them up, you expand your territories, and you wage war, basically, right? Hence the name Total War. They're really engaging, really fun, in-depth, nuanced games, and now that you're throwing a coat of paint over it that is Star Wars, this is just absolutely awesome. We haven't had a strategy game for Star Wars since Star Wars Empire at War, which was created way back in 2006 by Petroglyph Games. And that is a game that is still talked about pretty highly, and there's people that are still making mods for Empire at War to this day, and it's just been too long. Obviously, the game at this point, since it's almost 20 years old, it's really outdated. So I am so happy that they are finally, potentially, of course, remember this is all a rumor, but finally potentially going into the strategy genre with Star Wars, which makes all the sense in the world, right? Like, the Star Wars universe is filled with so many different factions, so many different unique styles for each faction, right? The Empire, you could clearly tell the difference between them and the Rebellion versus the Republic, etc. So this is a perfect match for the Star Wars universe. Obviously, you have a massive galaxy to explore with tons of different nuanced factions, and whether it's the gangs or the criminal syndicates, like I said, or you have the Rebellion versus the Empire, you have the Old Republic, you have the Clone Wars. This is just so perfect, and I really hope that they do something maybe in the Clone Wars era, because I feel like the last few games we've gotten from the Star Wars universe have been basically all original trilogy, and don't get me wrong, the original trilogy is fantastic. However, at this point, it's a little oversaturated. You know, you have the Jedi games, you have Star Wars Squadrons, the first Battlefront was basically all original trilogy. And so I think a strategy game set within the time period of the Clone Wars would just be a great match, because you have all these factions fighting in a literal galactic civil war. So you have the Trade Federation, obviously, and the Separatists, and then you have the Republic, then you have the Sith in the background, and the Jedi, then you have the Mandalorian conflict, all going on at the same time, plus all the crime syndicates. I could see that working masterfully. You'll have all these different factions, you could choose a leader. I could just see the potential in this game, and it's really exciting, and I really hope this rumor is true, because it's been a long time coming since Star Wars Empire at War. Creative Assembly has a great track record. I've played a lot of the Total War games and a lot of their strategy games, and they're always so well done. So I have a lot of faith in this studio to create such a game like this, and I think this is the perfect palate cleanser to all the Star Wars games we've gotten, right? Like, when you think about the last 10 years of Star Wars, you know, we've gotten 2 action games, we've gotten a couple of shooters with the Battlefront series, but again, we haven't had a strategy game in this genre, and it just makes all the sense in the world. So this is really exciting, and I think this game couldn't be in better hands if it is deemed to be true, these rumors. And BespinBulletin in the past has had a really great track record with rumors and reports. They got their rumors right when it came to the Star Wars Acolyte release dates. So, you know, again, take it with a grain of salt, but I think this is great news. And if it is true, Star Wars fans are going to be in for a great treat, especially if you love strategy games. And now I want to take a step back and look at the overall portfolio of Star Wars projects coming in the future. And it shows a really exciting time for us as we look at what is coming down the pipeline, some of it rumored, some of it confirmed. First off, we have Respawn Entertainment's Star Wars game, which was announced by EA back in January, and believe it or not, it's actually a strategy game, funny enough. So we're now getting 2 strategy games potentially in the Star Wars universe, so I'm super excited about that. Then you have next Star Wars Eclipse, which was announced back at the Game Awards back in 2021, and this is being headed up by Quantic Dream, who are the masterminds behind games such as Detroit Become Human, as well as games like Beyond Two Souls. These are narrative-driven experiences, really deep within dialogue and player choice and agency. So this game, we don't have a release date yet, but we know it is set in the High Republic era, so I am super jazzed about this. This is something that's really unique. So we don't know when it's coming, but that is on the way. Then obviously we have the much maligned KOTOR remake, Knights of the Old Republic, and I'm probably the most anticipated for this game, but all the rumors and all the terrible reports about the development of this game have me worried. But hey, if it does come out, I'm going to be super thrilled about that. So we have that in development. Next, we have Amy Hennig's new Star Wars game, which is being headed up by her new studio, Skydance New Media, and it's described as a narrative-driven action-adventure game, which is obviously a little vague, but it gives you an idea of what they're going for. I'm a person who loves story-based games with great characters, so this is right up my alley. This was confirmed earlier this year, so that is coming confirmed. And that is all the games that are rumored or confirmed to be in development for Star Wars for the foreseeable future. And this is a perfect example of why I thought the 10-year deal that Star Wars made with EA back in 2013 to exclusively make Star Wars games was a bad idea, and why the new strategy that Lucasfilms is going for, which is basically outsourcing it to all different types of developers. And the huge benefit to that is because now you have studios that have specific strengths and things that they do well, and you could tap all of them for different games, right? Because EA is a big publisher, but they're only so limited in their development studios, right? So if you're the only one making games for a company, guess what? You're not going to get a lot of games. When you look at EA's track record with that 10-year contract they had with Disney, right? It was lackluster. What did we get? 5 games? We had 2 Battlefront games. We had the 2 Jedi games and Squadrons. That's not a good track record for 10 years of development time. So I'm so glad that they got rid of that contract and they're not doing something like that again. And they allow all these great studios to make games that they're very well versed at making. And it's just going to further expand the Star Wars universe and all the games we're going to be getting. And it all starts with Outlaws, which is coming later this year, right? That's an RPG. Now we're getting 2 strategy games. We're getting a narrative-based action-adventure game. We're getting Quantic Dream's game, which is a very narrative-driven, focused, dialogue, choice-based game. So we have all these different genres that are being touched upon with Star Wars, and it's just so great to see. And this bodes well for the future of all Star Wars projects going forward. And I really hope it continues, and it all starts with Outlaws in August, and hopefully that's gonna be great. So anyway, that's really all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Let me know what you're most excited for with Star Wars, with the games, and your overall thoughts on the future of Star Wars projects going forward. So yeah, that's really it. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.